Hey, so since starting gardening, my anxiety has transformed a lot, and I really do think gardening has a lot to do with it. So I wrote down a couple of notes about just ways that gardening has changed my anxiety and has helped me overcome that. So first of all, it gets me in the dirt. I know that sounds crazy, and some people don't even like the idea of dirt, but I promise you, there is something that happens when I just start getting in the dirt. I know that there's been studies done on just the effect of dirt and the microbes on in the dirt and how they affect the human body. But just from my own experience, there have been days where I'm having a panic attack and I stop myself and I get myself outside and I just literally start playing with the dirt, whether planting or cleaning my garden bed or whatever it is. And I can tell the difference. My body just becomes grounded. It really does. Being in the dirt grounds me. It makes me feel more connected to nature. It's amazing. It changes my perspective. It makes me focus on something completely different, completely natural in the moment. And it really takes away the focus from my anxiety to what I'm doing in that moment, which is being with the dirt and with nature. Number two, it changed my perception of time. I think when I'm anxious, a lot of my anxiety is time-based in a weird way. Let me know if you understand what I mean or if you've had that experience. So what I mean by that is there will be anxieties that I have that are not even in the present. They're a lot of future focused. So it'll be me worrying about how I'm going to feed my family in the future or how I'm going to deal with all the toxins everywhere. There's so much to worry about as a mother. There really is. And I feel like every day they come out with more and more things to just stress us out. But when you start planting, it changes your perception of the way time works, and it really makes you start thinking of time as in seasons, right? Which is the natural way of looking at time. Because a lot of times, now with Amazon and all these things, if you think immediate dopamine hit immediately, right? You want to watch something, it's there immediately. You want to buy something, it sends to you next day. It is so not natural. The natural way, the natural life, the way God made the world, it goes by seasons. Even in the Bible, it says, there are seasons for everything. There's a season for waiting. There's a season for sowing. There's a season for reaping. There are seasons for everything. You can see it in motherhood, the seasons of your child is a baby, the season of your child is older, your child is in elementary school, your child gets to the teenage years. Everything comes in seasons, and plants really remind you of that, because before this, I just never was super aware of seasons. I knew it was around the season of whatever. But when you're planting, you kind of have to be. You become aware. And it's not in like a task or chore-ish way where like, oh my God, I have to know the seasons. No, you just go outside, you look at your flowers, you think, wow, look at spring. Look how beautiful all the plants are going. Oh, wow, spring really like brightens up the garden. Or you're out there in the summer and you think, oh my gosh, my poor plants are struggling, especially if you're in Arizona like I am. You think my poor babies need some shade. And it just makes you think of time differently. You're not going to put a seed down for a sunflower and think, wow, why isn't this sunflower up the next day? You're just not, because you know that there is seasons for everything. There's a season where you plant that seed, you let it germinate, You let it become a little seedling. You got to take a lot of care of it while it's young and you know, delicate. And then it becomes a flower, and it gives you, and then there's different things to do. And once it's an actual bloom and it starts blooming, then you start cutting the blooms, making sure that it is producing constantly for you, and that it's not going to seed if you don't want that. Everything has its season, and it really does make me think of life like that, you know? And it's made me think, for example, in my motherhood journey, it's made me think like, you know, now is a difficult season for me. I have 3 kids, 4 and under. And sometimes I struggle. And sometimes that's a reminder that I need when I'm out there with my plants, is to think, wow, like, it's okay. It's a season. This is not going to last forever. My kids are not always going to be this little. They're not always going to need me as much as they do at this moment. And that is okay. And just appreciating what I'm going through right now, and you know, just moving on from there. It is physically rewarding. So if you're planting flowers especially, or even vegetables, you literally have to put in physical work. So it gets you moving, gets you out there in the sun, gets you in nature, and gets you doing some type of exercise, especially like me, who doesn't do a lot of exercise. And at the end, you are rewarded with a physical reward, whether it be a vegetable. Don't mind her. Gardening is one of those hobbies that is going to give you a physical reward that you'll either be able to display beautifully, like a beautiful bouquet of flowers, or enjoy in your cuisine, like herbs and tomatoes. There's nothing like watching, and not to mention the physical reward of the actual fruit, like a tomato, but also the reward of knowing that you did that, and knowing that your children can come and learn where plants come from, where tomatoes come from, and they can just go and grab a fresh tomato, take a big bite of that. Lastly, one of my favorite things about nature is that in gardening especially, is that it really connects you to God, in the sense of like reminding me of the abundance that God provides for us, because it's everywhere, but it's really a lot easier and clearer to see in growing your own vegetables and growing your own flowers, putting one tiny seed. You know, I think it reminds me so much of just life, that you can put a tiny seed. You know, God, he's capable of so much in our lives, and a lot of times all he asks of us is something as small as just putting the little seed, and then he does the rest of the work. That's it. All we have to do is put a little seed, water it, take care of it, nurture it. But God is the one doing it. God is making that plant grow. God is making that plant, you know, be the kind of plant that produces abundance of fruits, the kind of plant that produces beautiful flowers and keeps on giving. How many flowers have I gotten from one little sunflower seed? So many. and not only that, but those flowers have their own seeds. It is so beautiful, and it is such a reminder to me of God's, just how gracious he is to us, and how much abundance there is in the world of God. And so those are all of the reasons, and I'm sure there's more that I'm not thinking of, but those are some ways in which gardening has helped me deal with my anxiety, helping me focus on all of these beautiful things, focus on God and his abundance, and getting myself out there and working and doing things with my hands that give me a physical reward and an emotional reward. And all of those things have just really rewarded me by helping me curb my anxiety and just refocus my mindset on something productive, as opposed to sitting there thinking about all of the possible worst case scenarios that are out there. And we know that there are many worst case scenarios out there, especially nowadays. So if you've been dealing with anxiety and you've been wondering what would be a good hobby to start to kind of like refocus your mindset, I really want to encourage you to consider gardening. It is so rewarding, and I think it will be a beautiful part of your life if you choose to make it so. Thank you. See you next time.